Let us start with something that surprises many men. By the time a man reaches his 50s, more than half will experience some degree of lowered testosterone. According to the Massachusetts Male Aging Study, almost 1 in 2 men over the age of 40 report changes in sexual function, energy levels, or mood. And yet, most men still do not talk about it. Instead, the conversation is often replaced by quick fixes, fad supplements, or whispered myths. You may have heard claims like, just take this pill and your testosterone will skyrocket overnight, or there is nothing you can do once your levels begin to drop. Neither of these statements are true. The truth lies somewhere in the middle. Testosterone naturally shifts as we age, but lifestyle, nutrition, and small daily rituals can make a powerful difference. One such ritual, and the focus of today's consultation, involves something as simple as what you mix with olive oil before bed. That may sound unusual, but I promise you this is not about gimmicks, not about shortcuts, and certainly not about miracle cures. It is about understanding how nutrition interacts with your hormones, your metabolism, and your overall vitality. Think of it this way. Your body is not a machine that suddenly breaks after 50. It is more like a finely tuned orchestra. As time goes on, some instruments like testosterone may play a little softer, while others, such as cortisol or insulin resistance, start to play louder. The result is not harmony, but imbalance. The goal is not to force one instrument to play at maximum volume, but to restore balance in the entire performance. And that is where foods like olive oil, rich in monounsaturated fats and antioxidants, come into play. In Mediterranean populations where olive oil is a staple, men not only have better cardiovascular health, but also healthier testosterone profiles compared to many Western populations. Add to that a specific nutrient or partner ingredient, and you begin to see a synergy, a way of gently supporting the hormonal orchestra instead of fighting against it. In this video, I want to walk with you through the science, the myths, and the action steps. We will break down what olive oil does for your hormones, why pairing it with certain foods before bed makes sense, and how these small rituals influence not only testosterone, but also your energy, sleep, and prostate health. Most importantly, I want you to leave with clarity, not confusion, not fear, and not false promises, because you deserve to understand how your body works, especially at this stage of life. By the end of our time together, you will know the research, the practical steps, and the deeper reasons why this nightly ritual may be worth considering. Think of this as a consultation, calm, honest, and grounded in evidence. Let us begin with the foundation, how testosterone changes after the age of 50 and why so many men misunderstand this process. First, here is what the research shows. Testosterone does not suddenly collapse at 50 or 60. Rather, it declines slowly, on average about 1% per year after the age of 30 to 40. This statistic comes from large studies, including data published by the National Institutes of Health, which track hormone changes across decades. That means by the time a man reaches his late 50s, his testosterone may be 20 to 30% lower than when he was in his 20s. That is not always a crisis, but it is noticeable. Now here is where confusion often starts. Some men assume that every symptom, low energy, poor erections, mood swings, must mean low testosterone. Others think it is just part of aging and that nothing can be done. Neither of those views is entirely correct. Think of testosterone as a signal, like the Wi-Fi connection in your home. The strength of the signal matters, but so does the quality of the device receiving it. In the male body, testosterone must bind to receptors, interact with enzymes, and balance against other hormones like estrogen and cortisol. You could have an okay level of testosterone on a lab test, but if your receptors are blocked by inflammation or excess fat tissue, the signal does not get through. On the other hand, even a modest level of testosterone can function powerfully if your body is primed to use it well. That is why age alone does not determine testosterone health. Lifestyle factors, sleep, diet, stress, alcohol, smoking, physical activity shape whether the hormone orchestra plays in harmony or in disarray. For example, researchers at Harvard Medical School have shown that obesity, especially abdominal fat, converts testosterone into estrogen through an enzyme called aromatase. So the more belly fat you carry, the more testosterone you lose to estrogen conversion. This is not a problem of age. It is a problem of environment. Another important point, testosterone is not just about sex drive or erections. It is central to bone density, muscle preservation, red blood cell production, and even mood stability. When levels decline too sharply, men often describe not just weaker performance in the bedroom, but also brain fog, fatigue, and a general loss of vitality. That is why medical societies like the American Neurological Association recommend that low testosterone should be considered a clinical diagnosis, not just a number on a test. Both symptoms and lab results matter. Now, what does all this mean for you? It means that you have more influence over your testosterone than you may think. Small, evidence-based daily rituals can slow the decline, sometimes even reverse it, and almost always improve how your body uses the testosterone you already produce. This is where nutrition becomes crucial. For instance, studies of Mediterranean populations where olive oil, nuts, fish, and vegetables dominate the diet consistently show higher testosterone levels and better sexual function in older men compared to Western populations. Olive oil in particular has been shown in clinical trials, including a study published in Natural Product Communications, to raise testosterone levels when consumed daily, likely due to its ability to reduce oxidative stress and improve cholesterol metabolism. Remember, testosterone is built from cholesterol. Healthy fats provide the raw material, while antioxidants protect the hormone-producing cells from damage. So when we ask, why mix olive oil with another ingredient before bed? The answer begins here because testosterone is not just a number, it is a system. You support that system with the right raw materials at the right times in the right environment. By addressing the natural hormonal shifts of aging with small targeted choices, you are not fighting against your body, you are giving it permission to perform at its best. As a practical takeaway for this section, I encourage you to reflect on your own baseline. Are you noticing fatigue, loss of muscle, or changes in your sexual health? If so, it may not just be aging. These are signals worth listening to. Ask your doctor about testing both your total and free testosterone levels. And remember, while medication can sometimes help, nutrition and lifestyle are always the first and most powerful tools in your hands. This sets the stage for the next part of our consultation, where we will look specifically at olive oil, what it does inside your body, why it is different from other oils, and how it became such a cornerstone of healthy aging in so many cultures. Now that we have laid the foundation of how testosterone changes after 50, let us take a closer look at olive oil itself. Why is this food, more than almost any other oil, so deeply connected to hormonal health, cardiovascular function, and vitality in men? Here is what the research shows. Olive oil, especially extra virgin olive oil, is rich in monounsaturated fats, primarily oleic acid and polyphenols, which are natural plant antioxidants. These compounds have been studied extensively from the University of Madrid to Harvard School of Public Health, and the findings are remarkably consistent. Olive oil is not only safe for the heart, but also beneficial for hormonal balance. Think of your hormone-producing organs, your testes, adrenal glands, and even your brain as factories. These factories need raw materials, clean fuel, and well-maintained machinery to work efficiently. Cholesterol, which often gets a bad reputation, is actually the raw material for testosterone production. Your body takes cholesterol, transports it into the testes, and then converts it into testosterone through a cascade of enzymatic steps. If your cholesterol balance is poor, or if the machinery is rusted by oxidative stress, testosterone output can falter. Olive oil addresses both sides of this equation. First, the healthy fats provide a steady source of cholesterol in a form that supports hormone production without clogging arteries or raising dangerous low-density lipoprotein levels. Second, the antioxidants in olive oil protect the Leydig cells in the testes, the very cells responsible for making testosterone from oxidative damage. A study published in Natural Product Communications in 2013 found that men who consumed olive oil daily showed improved testosterone levels and healthier lipid profiles compared to those who consumed butter or margarine. But it does not stop at testosterone. Olive oil also improves insulin sensitivity. Why does that matter? Because insulin resistance, which is common after 50, is a silent disruptor of testosterone. When blood sugar spikes and insulin levels remain high, the hormonal orchestra we spoke about earlier becomes chaotic. By smoothing out those spikes, olive oil helps restore balance not only to your metabolism, but also to your hormones. Another unique benefit of olive oil is its impact on inflammation. Chronic, low-grade inflammation is like static noise in the hormonal system. It blunts signals, interferes with receptor sensitivity, and accelerates the conversion of testosterone into estrogen. Polyphenols in olive oil, such as hydroxytyrosol, act like noise-canceling headphones, reducing that background static so the testosterone signal can come through clearly. Let us use a simple analogy. Imagine your hormones as a group of musicians performing on stage. If the stage is covered in smoke and the instruments are dusty, even the best musicians cannot deliver a clear performance. Olive oil is like opening the windows, clearing the smoke, and polishing the instruments so that the music, your hormonal signals, can be heard with clarity and strength. It is also worth noting that olive oil has direct implications for prostate health. A large review in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry highlighted that diets rich in olive oil are associated with lower risks of prostate inflammation and potentially even prostate cancer. This matters because the prostate is not only central to male reproductive health, but also highly sensitive to hormonal changes. Supporting it with anti-inflammatory and antioxidant foods is a powerful act of prevention. Now here's the practical tip. If you are not already incorporating olive oil into your daily diet, start simple. Replace butter or margarine with extra virgin olive oil for cooking or salad dressings. Aim for at least 2 tablespoons per day, but remember, quality matters. Extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed and stored in dark glass bottles, contains the highest levels of protective polyphenols. Before we move on, I want to pause for a moment and invite you into this conversation. If this explanation is helping you connect the dots, give this video a thumbs up. It helps more men find accurate, research-based information instead of falling for quick fixes online. And comment below, let me know if olive oil is already a part of your daily routine or if this is something you are considering. In our next section, we will explore why olive oil becomes even more powerful when combined with specific foods before bed. This is where the synergy happens, not just nutrition, but timing and pairing that enhance absorption and hormonal rhythms overnight. We now turn to an intriguing question: why does it matter what you combine olive oil with before bed? Is this simply tradition, or is there real science behind timing and food pairing? Here is what the research shows. Nutrient absorption and hormonal rhythms are not static throughout the day. They shift according to circadian cycles, the internal clock that governs sleep, hormone release, and even digestion. Testosterone, for example, peaks in the early morning hours and is lowest in the evening. Growth hormone, on the other hand, surges during deep sleep, helping with tissue repair and metabolic balance. When you eat the right foods before bed, you are not just feeding your stomach. You are feeding into this hormonal rhythm, creating an environment where testosterone can be supported and protected overnight. Let us take olive oil as our base. On its own, it delivers healthy fats and antioxidants. But when paired with other foods rich in minerals, amino acids, or specific compounds, it becomes part of a symphony that supports hormonal health. For example, mixing olive oil with a source of zinc, such as pumpkin seeds or a small serving of yogurt, can enhance testosterone support. Zinc is a critical cofactor in testosterone production. Without it, the body struggles to complete the conversion process. A study from Oregon State University showed that even mild zinc deficiency leads to measurable reductions in testosterone. By pairing zinc-rich foods with olive oil, absorption improves and the nutrients work hand in hand. Another powerful partner is honey. Beyond its pleasant sweetness, honey contains flavonoids and natural sugars that gently support insulin sensitivity while providing fuel for the brain overnight. In folk medicine, honey mixed with olive oil has long been used as a tonic for men's vitality. Modern science is beginning to validate some of these traditions. Studies published in Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine suggest that honey may have antioxidant and androgen supportive properties. When taken with olive oil, the combination appears to amplify the protective effects on hormone-producing tissues. Timing also matters. Consuming this mixture before bed allows the body to metabolize the fat slowly through the night, providing a steady release of nutrients rather than a sharp spike. This aligns with the body's natural production of luteinizing hormone, which stimulates the testes to produce testosterone primarily in the early morning hours. Think of it like setting out fuel for a fire just before the coldest part of the night. You are preparing your system to burn steadily, not to sputter and fade. There is also the question of digestion. Olive oil, when taken in moderation, slows gastric emptying just enough to allow for smoother absorption of fat-soluble vitamins and minerals. That means if you pair it with a small serving of magnesium-rich food such as almonds, your body is more likely to absorb and use that magnesium. Magnesium itself has been shown in studies published in the Journal of Pharmaceutical and Biomedical Analysis to enhance free testosterone levels in older men. In other words, the food you pair with olive oil influences not only absorption but also hormonal outcomes. Let us use a metaphor here. Imagine olive oil as a vehicle. On its own, it is reliable and well built, but when you add the right passengers, zinc, magnesium, flavonoids, the vehicle carries them safely to the destination, your hormone-producing tissues. Taking olive oil with the right partners before bed ensures the delivery happens during the hours when your hormonal system is most receptive. A practical example might look like this. 1 to 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil mixed with a teaspoon of raw honey and a sprinkle of pumpkin seeds or crushed almonds. Taken 30 to 40 minutes before bed, this is not a large meal but a nourishing ritual. It provides healthy fats, minerals, and antioxidants, exactly the resources your body needs overnight. As we move forward, I want to emphasize this is not a replacement for medical care if you have true low testosterone. It is, however, a safe, evidence-informed ritual that aligns with your body's natural rhythms. Think of it as setting the stage so that when your body produces testosterone in the early morning, it has the tools to succeed. Now we will dive deeper into another often overlooked connection, how olive oil influences insulin, belly fat, and weight control, and why these factors may be even more important for testosterone than the food itself. So far, we have looked at olive oil as a source of healthy fats, antioxidants, and a partner for nutrients before bed. But there is another critical dimension to this story, the relationship between olive oil, insulin sensitivity, belly fat, and testosterone health. Here's what the research shows. Insulin resistance, which becomes increasingly common in men after the age of 50, is one of the silent killers of testosterone. When your body becomes resistant to insulin, blood sugar remains high, fat storage increases, especially around the abdomen, and inflammation spreads throughout the body. This combination sets off a chain reaction. Belly fat produces more aromatase, the enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. Over time, this creates a hormonal imbalance where testosterone falls, estrogen rises, and vitality declines. A study published in the journal Diabetes Care highlighted that men with central obesity and insulin resistance had significantly lower testosterone compared to men of the same age without insulin problems. In fact, the relationship is so strong that many endocrinologists now consider low testosterone both a cause and a consequence of metabolic syndrome. It is a vicious cycle. Low testosterone encourages fat gain, and fat gain further lowers testosterone. Now, where does olive oil fit into this? Clinical studies on the Mediterranean diet, in which olive oil is a central component, consistently show improvements in insulin sensitivity and reductions in abdominal fat. A landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine followed thousands of participants over several years. Those who consumed a Mediterranean diet rich in olive oil not only had lower risks of heart disease, but also demonstrated better glucose control compared to those eating a low-fat diet. Think of olive oil as a gentle regulator by slowing the absorption of carbohydrates and improving the function of cell membranes. It helps insulin work more effectively. The polyphenols in olive oil also reduce oxidative stress in the pancreas, the organ responsible for producing insulin. This twofold effect, improving insulin action and reducing inflammation, directly protects testosterone from being drowned out by metabolic chaos. Let me use a metaphor here. Imagine insulin as the key that unlocks the door to your cells, so glucose can enter and provide energy. In insulin resistance, that key becomes rusty. The door does not open easily, glucose lingers in the bloodstream, and the whole system becomes strained. Olive oil acts like an oil for the lock, literally smoothing the mechanism so the key can turn again. When the door opens, glucose enters efficiently, fat storage decreases, and testosterone no longer faces the same metabolic burden. And here's the part most men overlook. Belly fat is not just an aesthetic issue, it is hormonally active tissue. Every extra inch around the waistline is like adding another speaker blasting estrogen into the orchestra of your hormones. Reducing belly fat is not about vanity, it is about reclaiming hormonal balance. Practical application is straightforward. If you replace saturated fats like butter, margarine, or processed oils with extra virgin olive oil, you are not only supporting cardiovascular health, but also reducing one of the most powerful drains on testosterone, insulin resistance. Over time, this substitution may help lower waist circumference, improve glucose control, and reduce the estrogenic pressure that belly fat creates. So what might this look like in your daily life? Drizzle olive oil over steamed vegetables instead of using cream-based sauces. Add it to whole grains or legumes at dinner, which will help blunt blood sugar spikes. And as we discussed earlier, combine it with nutrient-dense foods before bed for maximum synergy. Before we move forward, let me gently encourage you, if this information resonates, subscribe to the channel. This way you will keep receiving grounded, shame-free insights that empower you to take control of your health. Too many men struggle silently with these issues, and the more we spread accurate knowledge, the more we can normalize the conversation. Now we will shift focus to another critical factor, sleep and stress hormones, because the time you take olive oil and what happens in your body during the night may be just as important as what you eat. We now arrive at an often overlooked dimension of testosterone health, the role of sleep and stress hormones, and why your nighttime ritual with olive oil matters more than you might realize. Here's what the research shows. Testosterone follows a daily rhythm, rising during the night and peaking in the early morning hours. This rise is tightly linked to deep restorative sleep. Studies from the University of Chicago have shown that men who are sleep deprived can see testosterone levels drop by as much as 15% after just 1 week of restricted sleep. That decline can mimic what you would normally expect after 10 to 15 years of aging. In other words, poor sleep accelerates hormonal decline. At the same time, stress hormones such as cortisol play a critical role. Cortisol, often called the fight or flight hormone, naturally peaks in the morning to help you wake up and gradually falls at night to prepare you for rest. But in many men, chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated into the evening. This is a problem because cortisol and testosterone have an inverse relationship. When cortisol is high, testosterone production is suppressed. Imagine two children on a seesaw. When one goes up, the other must go down. This is where a nightly ritual anchored in nutrition can make a profound difference. Olive oil, when paired with calming, nutrient-rich foods, does more than provide raw materials for testosterone. It also helps regulate stress responses and supports better sleep quality. The healthy fats in olive oil promote the release of satiety hormones that calm hunger signals, preventing late-night blood sugar spikes that can disrupt sleep. Additionally, when combined with magnesium-rich foods such as almonds or leafy greens earlier in the evening, it encourages relaxation of the nervous system. Magnesium acts as a natural muscle relaxant and supports the production of melatonin, the hormone that governs sleep. Think of your nighttime ritual as setting the stage for a performance. If the lights are too bright, the instruments out of tune, and the audience restless, the performance cannot begin smoothly. By consuming a small, calming mixture of olive oil with honey, seeds, or nuts before bed, you are dimming the lights, tuning the instruments, and preparing the orchestra, in this case your hormones, for their nightly performance. Another aspect worth noting is the impact of olive oil on inflammation. Chronic inflammation not only interferes with testosterone production, but also disrupts sleep by activating stress pathways in the brain. Polyphenols in olive oil act as natural anti-inflammatories, calming those pathways and creating a smoother transition into deep sleep. A practical example might be this: about 30 minutes before bed, take 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil blended with a teaspoon of raw honey and a small handful of crushed almonds or pumpkin seeds. This simple ritual provides healthy fats, antioxidants, magnesium, and zinc. It is not heavy enough to cause digestive discomfort, but it is nourishing enough to stabilize blood sugar and signal to your body that it is time to rest and repair. Now let me connect this back to testosterone. Remember that luteinizing hormone, the signal from the brain that tells the testes to produce testosterone, is released in pulses during the night, especially during the deepest stages of sleep. If your sleep is shallow, fragmented, or cut short, those pulses are weaker and fewer in number. But when sleep is deep and restorative, the pulses are strong and testosterone production is maximized. That is why a nightly ritual that calms the nervous system and stabilizes blood sugar is not just a nutritional habit, it is a hormonal investment. As a gentle call to action, I encourage you to try this for 1 week. Notice not only how you feel in the morning, but also how you sleep. If you find this helpful, let me know in the comments. Sharing your experience could help another man who is silently struggling with the same challenges. In our next section, we will bring these ideas together and look at the final piece of the puzzle: how to create a realistic, long-term ritual that protects testosterone, supports vitality, and fits seamlessly into your daily life. We have now explored the science of testosterone decline, the unique properties of olive oil, the power of pairing it with other foods, its effect on insulin and belly fat, and the importance of sleep. The question now becomes, how do you bring this knowledge into your daily life in a way that is practical, sustainable, and effective? Here is what the research shows. Long-term consistency matters more than dramatic, short-term changes. A study from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism demonstrated that men who maintained healthy lifestyle habits, including balanced nutrition, regular physical activity, and consistent sleep, showed not only higher testosterone levels, but also lower risks of chronic disease. What this means is that it is not about one night of mixing olive oil with seeds or honey. It is about creating a small ritual that you can repeat over months and years. Let us break it down step by step, as I would with a patient in the clinic. Step 1. Choose quality olive oil. Extra virgin, cold pressed, stored in a dark glass bottle. Avoid cheap blended oils that are diluted with soybean or sunflower oil. Quality ensures that you are actually getting the polyphenols and antioxidants that make this practice worthwhile. Step 2. Decide on a simple pairing. If your primary concern is testosterone production, focus on zinc and magnesium, pumpkin seeds, almonds, or even a small portion of Greek yogurt. If your goal is better sleep and nervous system relaxation, consider honey for its calming sugars and flavonoids. If inflammation is a concern, consider turmeric or ginger as additional partners, both of which can be gently blended into olive oil. The key is not complexity, but consistency. Step 3. Time it right. Consume your mixture about 30 to 40 minutes before bed. This gives your body enough time to begin digestion, but not so much that you feel heavy or uncomfortable. Remember, the goal is to prepare your system for deep sleep and hormonal repair. Step 4. Pair the ritual with environment. Dim the lights, reduce screen time, and avoid stimulants such as caffeine or alcohol in the hours leading up to bedtime. Olive oil will help, but it cannot overcome the disruptive effects of late-night stress or blue light exposure. Think of this as setting the stage for your hormones to perform optimally. Step 5. Track your response. Every man's body is slightly different. Pay attention to how you feel in the mornings, your energy throughout the day, and even your sexual health. These are signals that tell you whether the orchestra is tuning properly. If you notice improvements, keep going. If not, consider adjusting the partner ingredients or speaking with your doctor about further testing. Here's a metaphor that may help you remember. Imagine building a campfire. Olive oil is the dry wood, reliable and steady. Honey, seeds, or nuts are the kindling that helps the fire catch. Your nightly environment, darkness, calm, and routine is the shield that protects the fire from wind. Together, they create a steady, warming flame that lasts through the night. That flame is your testosterone, your vitality, your energy. And remember, this ritual is not meant to stand alone. It works best when combined with daytime habits that support hormonal health, regular exercise, strength training, stress management, and balanced meals rich in whole foods. Olive oil at night is like the finishing note of the orchestra, but the rest of the performance still matters. As we move into the conclusion, I want to leave you with this reassurance. Low energy, reduced testosterone, or changes in sexual health are not a sign of weakness or inevitable decline. They are signals. And when you respond with knowledge, with small, consistent actions, you reclaim control over your body's story. In our final section, we will recap what we have learned and leave you with one powerful action to begin today. We have covered a great deal in this consultation, so let us bring it all together. Testosterone does not suddenly disappear after 50. It declines gradually, and that decline is shaped as much by lifestyle as by age. Olive oil, with its healthy fats and powerful antioxidants, provides the raw materials and protection your body needs to keep producing testosterone. When paired with zinc, magnesium, or honey before bed, it works in harmony with your circadian rhythms to support sleep, balance insulin, reduce inflammation, and create the right environment for hormones to thrive. Here's what I want you to remember. Testosterone is not just about libido or performance. It is about strength, bone health, cognition, mood, and overall vitality. When levels drop too far, men do not just feel less sexual, they feel less alive. But the good news is this: you have tools in your own hands. Small, consistent rituals like mixing olive oil with a nutrient-rich partner before bed can help you nourish your body at exactly the time when hormones are most active. You deserve clarity, not confusion. You deserve information that empowers you, not myths that shame you. That is why I want you to walk away from this video with one clear action tonight. Try a simple mixture of olive oil with honey, seeds, or nuts. Observe how your body responds. Use that as a starting point to build consistency, not as a miracle cure, but as a supportive, evidence-informed practice. And as you do this, remember you are not broken. You are not destined to decline without hope. Your body is adaptive, resilient, and responsive to care.